Disclaimer, my parents are watching a movie upstairs, so if that somehow manages to get through, even with the settings that I put on for my microphone, I'm so sorry. But good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and good night, everyone. Today, I'm going to be reviewing two items. One of them I got a long time ago, about 4 years ago when I just got my PC, and the other was just about a month ago. And today, I'll be reviewing the Tecware Phantom 87 and the Akko Jelly Pink switches. I will be reviewing these two items with their pros and cons, and just my thoughts that I've collected over time. My honest thoughts on the keyboard is that the keyboard is great. It's held up for 4 plus years, and I feel like it's honestly one of the best boards out there for budget gaming. It is on the more expensive side, being $45, but if you've got the money to spend, you should definitely spend it on something a bit more high quality than other mechanical keyboard. The RGB is a plus, even though, as you'll see, my keyboard doesn't have shine through keycaps, but the glow still wonderful. Okay, so some of the pros of this keyboard is that it's a TKL layout, which is a 10 keyless layout. It's not the full thing. It doesn't have the number pad and everything else on it, because even though I have the desk space for it, I just don't see the need to have such a big keyboard. Yeah, it allows me to keep my arrow keys as well. It's, shorter form. I do actually really like 65% keyboards, which I do have one, but that one's not hot swappable. And if it was hot swappable, I would put the switches on that keyboard. But why am I saying but? Okay. It has a whole bunch of built-in lighting effects that, to be honest, they're really cool and all, but it just doesn't hold up with time. I've had the keyboard for 4 plus years. I probably have changed my lighting effect like once every year. Really, it's cool for the first time when you first get it, but after that, the hype just kind of dies down and you forget about it. It feels really, really sturdy. Like, it's heavy. There's also no warping after 4 plus years. You would think that after a long time, because I've had a membrane keyboard that was a long time ago, that I am a jackhammer when it comes to playing games. I am smashing my keyboards, and that membrane keyboard, if I still had it, I would show you it, but I don't. It was warped beyond belief somehow. The board was like literally like curving where my fingers were. It was not good, but this board has taken its beating for quite a while, and I think it can still take some more. Since it's hot swappable, I can just replace the keys. The cons about this keyboard, though, is that it's an aluminum plate. It's very easy to scratch, and hopefully you can see in my footage that there is some wear and tear over time, especially around the key area, like the arrow key area, because that's the area where, I have my fingers around a lot, and, sometimes when I'm playing, if I have nails, sometimes I get scared, or I'm just like try-harding really hard and I'm like smashing the keys, my nails get onto it, I scratch it, or, I'm just being dumb and I just kind of scratch at the keyboard for some reason because I don't know. I'm just like that. Sometimes I get bored. And as you can hear in the sound test, the stabilizers are not the best, especially now after 4 plus years, and I've never actually modded the keyboard fully, which uh, I will most likely get around to actually doing that. I kind of just need the money to buy the other stuff for it. But other than that, after a long time, and even when I first got it, it was kind of scratchy, and they still did rattle in the beginning as well. There wasn't much, but it was still there. It was still noticeable, and you could still hear it. It caused a lot of pinging in my keyboard, but usually pinging is coming from the switches, which these switches moving on to that, the switches are smooth, like butter smooth. Like I know for a fact, anyone watching this, you've gotten that perfect toast once before, and you just like you were just spreading the butter on that toast, and it was just so smooth that that's exactly how each and every single one of these switches feel. I used to use tactile and clicky switches, so I love feeling that tactile bump in order to know, like, yeah, I've pressed the key to actuate it. But now that I don't have that, I see why people really like linear switches. But when I was trying to see which new switches I wanted to get to, customize this keyboard, the review that I saw, which I'll link down below, it said that these were perfect unlubed, or not perfect, but they're very usable unlubed. There's no scratchiness, no nothing, and that lubing them would especially make them much better. But these, honestly, hands down, I agree with everything he has said about these switches in the video. They are smooth, buttery smooth. They And from a gaming standpoint, they actually feel very fast. Sometimes I even double click with how fast they actuate. Onto the pros of the switches. The switches are super smooth, as I've said before. They sound amazing with literally any type of cap on, because I've used the ones that are on my board now. I've used some that are on another board, and I've used some that are on a different board that I have. Don't ask me why I have so many. I like keyboards. You probably like keyboards too if you're watching this video. They sound amazing with almost any type of keycap. They are 45 grams of force. In the spectrum of things, it's around medium-ish. If you want to put it from like light, medium, and heavy, these are around like the medium. They honestly feel much lighter than I thought they were. They feel especially light. I'm pretty sure that's because they're linear. The travel distance is also very average for most of the other switches from Akko. They the travel distance doesn't really make up and amount to anything. It feels like it does, but to me it really doesn't. Maybe that's because I haven't tried speed switches yet, and when I do, I'll probably eat my words. Maybe. On to the cons. The only con that I have written down is that they're linear, and that it's because of preference. And yes, that is kind of the only con for me, is that they're linear. I wish these were tactile, like they had like a little tactile bump to them. But other than that, these are one of the best switches, and probably the best introducing switch too. If you want to get into keyboard modding and you want to actually be able to make your own keyboards, these switches are probably the best like switch out there, because I think I got them for around 17 for 45. So if you're going to be using a TKL layout board like I did, you need to buy two of them, and that'll be perfect. It leaves you with three leftover switches, just in case if some of them are duds, or over time wear and tear, WASD. You can replace them, and they'll be perfectly fine afterwards. Overall, these two together stock, just because I bought the keyboard a long time ago. I bought them in Otemu Blue Clicky. I know, one of the death switches in the keyboard community. I liked them at the time. They're good introducing keyboard, but now that I'm actually getting into modding, I can see why those blue switches are obnoxious. But stock together, without having to do anything with the stabilizers, without opening up the keyboard and tape modding it or anything, or putting any foam inside of it, it is wonderful having these two together. And I'm sure one day I'll finish up the keyboard. I kind of made this keyboard a love project, because it's my first keyboard that I've modded. Well, not modded. I kind of just replaced the switches. I guess you can call that modding, but it's an introduction to it. When that's done, I'll probably make another video when everything is completely finished, and maybe I'll actually even be better as the time goes on. Editing Nathan here. I just realized I had no opening to say, listen to the sound test, but here we go. Listen to the sound test. I hope you enjoyed my average reviewer review, because that's really what this is. And just remember to stay hydrated. I messed up my outro. I'll leave it in for comedic effect. But remember to stay hydrated and have a good day.